Hi, beautifuls. I had a little gathering or a get together last night with some fellow sisters, and one of the things that was kind of coming up was nervous systems. And I keep talking about that, and when you do any of my workshops, it's always an aspect somehow in what I do, even though it might seem like it's an unrelated thing. But what we were all discussing is how it is incredibly important, and we're run by what happens when we're out of click with the nervous system, like if we're overstimulated, and how different life is when we're regulated, right? When it's activated, when it's regulated. And I was feeling in and remembering 10 years ago, because it's 2026 now, and 2016 was when, I suppose it started for me in 2015, but 2016 was a pivot point for me in my life, because that's when I had massive issues with my nervous system, right? My vagus nerve particularly, which is part of the regulation system of the nervous system. I had done big damage to it through surgeries and not looking after myself, stress, and doctors couldn't figure out what was going on with me at the time. I was going to cardiologists, I was going to GPs, I was going to gastro specialists, I was all around the shop, because they couldn't see the link of how everything was connected to the nervous system and what was going on with me. Eventually, when I felt like, oh my God, nobody's going to help me, nobody knows what's going on. And I had that thought when I was incredibly weak, and I was very thin at the time. I couldn't eat, I couldn't digest, I couldn't go to the bathroom properly. My heart, they were saying I'd have to have pacemakers. My vocal cords were going. I couldn't speak. Like, my voice was going. It was so weak. I lost power. My breath was going. I couldn't think on words. So I remember all of these cascading things were happening, and a thought came in. It's like, oh my God, I'm going to die. Like, this is it. I'm going to die. Because I could see that. Now, that was also part of my gifts were coming online in these moments. And in those thoughts, I knew I only had a couple of months, because something would have given out. And that's when, for me, the experience, and I call it spirit, or you could call it Archangel Michael, or you call it source, or however way it showed up for me, but it was a booming voice, a voice outside of myself in my head. You have a choice to live or to die. And in that moment, I made the choice, and then I asked, but how? And right now, so many people are going to be waking up going, how? First of all, the image I was given when I could see this plasmic wave coming in for June, July, August, September, which I've kind of talked about in my sound bath, right? The journey sound bath. That is going to wake up a massive amount of the collective. My throat's going saying this. And they're going to be asked to they're going to ask how, like, who am I? How do I move out of this simulated reality? How do I move into my truth, my purpose, my beingness? How do I move into my health, my financial wealth? How do I move into my happiness, my joy? How do I move and connect to the source, God? And in that how, that's where the answers are floating in. But the answers only flood in when we move to the heart, right? Heart coherence. And when we soften to such an extent that a regulation can happen within the nervous system, right? A presence can happen, and discernment then follows suit. So we were just talking about that. Because many of us are going to be running a lot of current, right? It's going to be current, light current coming in. And that current is going to be turning on, you could say, a new aspect of our nervous systems and our circuitry systems in the brain. And I've mentioned that I could see how our brains are going to change. Our consciousnesses will be expanding with this shift. Microtubles, because that's what I was shown with that word. They were giving me this word, and inside the microtubles, they showed me this sparkling light, and they called it plasma. It's related to the aether. It's related to the quintessence that was discussed last night as well in the group when we were having a chat. Because it's a plasmic light wave, Christos consciousness coming in. Again, aether travels within the plasmic field. It's all linked into this element that is now becoming more fired up, more part of the living web of life, more part of what is tangible, because it has been a little more intangible than fire and water that we see and feel, right? Earth is very tangible. But this element will be now more tangible as well, because it's linked into the divine field. People might refer to this as Holy Spirit frequency, right? It all depends on what your background is. Ruach, Shekinah, it's all linked. These parts of the brain firing up, it's linked into the nervous system, running down the spine. And at the same time, our fascia. So I was shown as well, like the webbing within our bodies of our fascia. It's like there's a current running in that as well. Now, this is all at such a minute level, and I'm not even sure what the science has discovered yet on any of this. This is just my vision stuff. And it's like there's an element of, I think it's even smaller than microtubule stuff, but plasmic force running through that, plasmic current running through that as well. So our nervous systems, the brain circuitries, the microtubules, the fascia systems, all of these are going to be receiving upgrades of light. But in order for us to reach the capacity, the full capacity that's coming our way over the next couple of months, the requirement will be very much about how much more regulated can I be, embodied, bringing awareness, coming back to the breath, coming home, because there's going to be brain stuff, subconscious reels, stories, belief systems, identities. It's going to get loud. It's already started with me, right? And I'm having to move through quite a lot. And then it's like you're dumping the junk, dump the junk. One other facet of all of this, I talked about the microtubules, the nervous system, the fascia systems, the brain circuitry, DNA. In the DNA, there's a plasmic force, because plasma is in our blood as well, right? It's just in that more different density to what I'm speaking about. It's more physical density. But that DNA that's waiting to turn on, and the genes that are like called junk DNA, junk genes, whatever you want to call it, there's going to be new things switching on, what is that related to? It is related to another form of awakening, gifts coming online, perceptions, deeper awarenesses, more sensitivity, more intuition, more play in the field. And when we play in the field, and I it's almost like you're merging. But what that is like you're becoming one with source, you're becoming one with God, you're becoming one with the true sense of you. And you're seeing at a much greater capacity as well. You can see the BS, you can see the timelines, you can see the fabric of reality. And to me, when I see that, it's like math and geometry and colors, images. It can look like all different things for everybody. But when we start to see that, we recognize that we have an innate power within us to create. All of this is part of creation power. But in order for us to fully embody that and be in the authority of that, because this is the journey I'm on, it's like, okay, fear, doubt, goodbye, anxiety, goodbye, programs have to go, regulation happens. So a lot of that was kind of coming in last night to that discussion, and how we all see things differently, and we have different paths to like implement this, right? There's the practical ones, the physical ones, there's the mental work ones, there's the emotional stuff, and there's the spiritual stuff that you kind of hear me spew on about as well. Because for me, everything is energy, and we can always, if you're able to work with the energy, like you get a filter down through to the physical as well. But also you can work in the physical and it filters up to the energy. Because when I started that journey 10 years ago, I want to live. How? The first thing I needed to do was see myself well and find the people that could help me. And are you someone who's going to be helping others when they're kind of going, who am I? What's my how? You're going to be asked to step up more. You may notice your mission. You're going to be pivoting, because this energy is going to like be a pivot and more a deeper perspective coming in for you, where you thought it was that direction, but actually it's this. It might be the same destination. It may be that your mission is being added onto, your purpose is being added to, and you're having to open up your capacity to receive that as well. It's so exciting, and it's an amazing time to be alive right now. Really amazing. At the same time, there's the other stuff that gets intensified. But I feel like, and this is for me, we are aware of it. We have compassion for it. But our focus is to be centered on truth. And for me, it's like, focus, what is the truth? All right, I'm going to leave you all with that. Look forward to sharing that talk with you as well. And we'll go from there. Any questions, let me know.